So as it goes with Dokkan Battle, there can never be a silent week without some controversy to shake up the interest levels of Dokkan Battle discourse. And in this case, it is because we've got the free-to-play units locked and loaded for the 10th anniversary. If you are familiar with the hints they dropped on social media, it looks like, and I guess things could change, I don't know if anything of this was specified specifically, marked out as like this is the card. I don't believe so. And this graphic is from Toon Rami, by the way, I believe. We've got the Gotenks here, or at least the unit who will probably be the exchange into Goten and Gotenks, or Trunks, and then into a Gotenks. And we have what is probably the free-to-play TUR for Dragon Ball. When I started this anniversary, I remember making a statement, and someone was quick to defend this. They said they didn't list and also Dragon Ball as like an afterthought. They were just naming them in a list. I remember I was taking the piss a little bit. I was having some fun. I was saying it's so funny that they listed the others and then decided to like throw Dragon Ball in as an aside. And I don't know. It was just funny. Fast forward like 2 weeks, I think, and we've got TUR free-to-play Demon King Piccolo as the only representation for Dragon Ball in this celebration. Noting that Goku's story also does not include a Dragon Ball stage, I believe. Very, very wild. But this, of course, kicked off some chattering in the Dokkan community because we have posts like this now talking about, and this is from Negative Symptom. Go ahead and throw them a follow if you're interested in stuff like this. It's looking like Super will be the DF as it has 2 slots, an LR and banner unit, while Movies and Cell Saga will be the Carnivals as they have 1 slot each, while the final Buu Saga slot will be Vegito's banner unit. And we know that because if we go here, we can easily count up 2 Easy A's, free-to-play LR, banner unit, and in the same vein, we can count up Saiyan Saga as Easy A's, Dragon Ball GT is an Easy A, much smaller than this one. 2 Planet Namek Easy A's, a big ol' card here, a big ol' card here, and then 2 Easy A slots here, if that theory is right, and it looks to be right. And we have 1 small slot for an Easy A, possible banner unit, possible premium banner unit, and a possible LR here. So continuing on that trend of maybe getting the 1, 2, and 3 packed in here, but we don't know. Of course, we don't know. So why bring this up? Why is this important news? Well, I remember posting about. Well, I'll get to that after. This person said that it's looking like this. It will be Super. I believe Toon comes down here and also says Super. On one hand, if it's VB, that would mean we'd be getting a Vegito for both parts. And if I can come over here, we have Minato, who is going to be the person I leapfrog some talking points off of, because Minato says, to be honest, if the Part 2 DFELR is a fusing Vegito blue tag, I would be more than fine with a double Vegito anniversary. And this was the post I wanted to get to, which is that people starting to say that it's looking like Super is a DFE for Part 2. Dokkan Battle, y'all can call me Lonestradamus. You can go ahead and call me that, by the way. If it ends up being Vegito, by the way, this was 2 months ago. So you can go ahead and call me that. By the way, follow me on Twitter if you like. You don't gotta. I don't really flood the timeline too much. I just post here and there, so I'm an easy follow. But let's get into the main bulking talking point here. So I guess the greater talking point, and I believe Minato made a video talking about this. So if you want to hear his thoughts on that, please go watch their video. Support them. Obviously, this is coming off of the back of their tweet, and I take no responsibility for this. I just thought it'd be interesting to put my 2 cents in. And I'll actually put my 2 cents in now before I read anything. That way you can hear my opinion and take it with you. First and foremost, when it comes to Dragon Ball as deserving of an LR, this is objectively the time to do it. I am realistic. I don't think Dragon Ball sells as well as, Kid Buu drops with a Vegito tomorrow. Obviously that's true, but there are people who are like, no, this should never happen. They need worldwide download celebration. Listen, I am also in the camp that I just want characters. Y'all know me, I said it a million times. Maybe you're new here, maybe you're returning, but I have said a million times, tomorrow they announce Carnival Zarbon. Bet. Fucking bet. I'm hyped. I just like Dragon Ball, the series. I like Super, I like Z, I like OG, I like the movies. It is what it is to me, man. I am someone who also realizes that Dragon Ball is finite. It's done. Daima is happening, but there isn't any more Super right now. Shueisha is holding the rights to the manga. Ultimately, and I think this is a thing that people don't really understand, is they're going to have to start treading some of this ground eventually. Because as it stands, we haven't really seen phenomenal Dokkan originals. We've seen some good Dokkan originals, but games like Epic 7 who need to come up with animations on the spot, or games like JJK that need to come up with a lot of animations on the spot, we haven't seen what that looks like for Dragon Ball. And if Akatsuki does not want to use the material that it has access to, then guess what? I mean, show me something, big dog. Like, I hope we get the Kakarot, the game Kakarot Vegito special, but after that, like, there's nothing really more to do with that character. It is what it is. And while I'm not the hardest person to appease with animations, we are going to need to see something out of Akatsuki if they're going to spam the hype characters and pay no mind to the less quote-unquote hype characters. This goes as far as to say that I've been on a crusade saying, hey, I hope they stop doing the Peppy Gal shit, because they clearly don't want to make those characters premium. They don't want to make them anything more than collector's pieces, and I think that sucks. If your favorite character is Kefla or 18, shouldn't you have a chance at that character being the best character in the game? Why is it just assumed that some characters are going to be trash because they're not like UI Goku? That's the worst part of Dokkan to me. And you think it wouldn't be the case because it's a PvE game, and they can obviously stretch on PvE games, but right now as it sits, if you're looking at Dragon Ball as like your favorite, like OG Dragon Ball, the worst thing you can hear is free-to-play unit. Because there are some okay free-to-play units, but anyone defending Dokkan's free-to-play side, their cards, is capping out their fucking ass. Because Dokkan's free-to-play units are underwhelming. Bio Broly is the first time for me personally. I know that apparently Roshi was really good at one point. Bio Broly is the first time for me personally that I was like, wow, this character is really strong. Every other time I'm like, yeah, they're okay. It's to the point where I would actually say, because of Redstones, that the powerful free-to-play quote-unquote characters are super easy A's. Super easy A's are very powerful quote-unquote free-to-play characters because they're accessible during major celebrations with free-to-play stones. I'm just gonna have to hand it to people who love OG Dragon Ball. It's disappointing to see free-to-play on the Demon King Piccolo, and especially when it's an iconic character, and especially when Dokkan has a bad track record. Could they make him the best free-to-play unit ever? Like in a few weeks? Of course they could. But what a slap in the face to pretend for a second that free-to-plays are treated equally. He's not Dr. Ratio. He's not the specialty changes in Epic 7. These characters suck. But hey, you know, non-doomer posting, maybe 10 years in is the year we finally get free-to-play characters who can stay good for more than a few weeks. You know, Prage, put their hands together. Minato says, it's been a few hours. Respond to this about the OG DB dilemma, whether it's about how you feel or stuff you've seen for the community. Proton says, what did I miss? They talking about it. Celtic Link, again, another YouTuber. You should check them out. I would say expected that DB Saga was going to be the free-to-play. I didn't expect it to be DKP, that's for sure. I'm still struggling to understand the people saying it was a trash pick or that they wouldn't have summoned on Part 2 Carnival if it was Kid Goku, which is very funny, and I think Minato brings this up, but this makes no sense from people because he would have been on a banner with the other character you want anyway. Doesn't matter. Which again is why this was the perfect time to do this. But that's just me being like positive posting. As long as the unit is genuinely very good, then it being a free-to-play is cool to me, and I like that. Man, this is hoping. This is hoped. Man, this is so hopeful. Nothing against them, but this is so hopeful. Maybe you guys who have only played Dokkan, maybe you've never played other Gacha free-to-play. Dokkan has terrible free-to-play characters. It has good free-to-play currency, but it's terrible free-to-play characters. Genuinely. I would defend that against anyone. I would defend that against any single person. For the content and way Dokkan power creeps its characters, because there's no gear, because there's no this, because blah, 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 it has terrible free-to-play characters. 100%. I played so many of these games free-to-play. My thoughts. I really believe they both are anti-LR, but we don't want to. Out. Acting like them being free-to-play doesn't mean they can't be broken. Roshi was taught them for like a year. Wasn't this like literally years ago? Very funny. You would understand that you do want the broken units free to play because not everyone can afford to summon. I'd much rather DKP be absolutely insane, one of the headliners, rather solid than him be absolute trash. Again, could it happen? In a magical world, it of course could. Of course he could be broken. Of course. Will it? Okay, because let me put this into some context here. You're telling the company who only does safe releases, who only does the fusions and UI and Gogeta and Broly and Beast and buh, you're telling them when they are taking the money choice to make the non-money choice of making the free-to-play units good. Babies, all of you babies, they're already making the money choice. Making the free-to-play units good is against what they have shown us. But it is what it is, I get it. A lot of DB fans are reacting emotionally, with no logic backing them up. OGBV has never been as popular as Z. Every game for decades skips over it, even Kakarot. That's not true. Kakarot is... It's in Kakarot, right? It actually... This is why people are crazy, because this is very funny. It's in Kakarot, and it arguably saved Kakarot's gameplay. Not to be a dick rider, but like, Kakarot's is like fucking mid. And it does Z. But then one of the best reviewed versions of the game is literally, it's not the movies, it's not Bardock, it was the World Tournament. They got games of years of market research analysis, and OGB would not be hype enough for this. That's fine, that's fair enough. I prefer a Tanabata celebration of Kid Goku and DKP Carnival, so don't mind, to be honest. I think this is right. I think this is the right mindset to have. It's not happening, I think. But it is the right mindset to have. You don't want your favorite character to be free to play. I promise you. Until they show me otherwise, Bio Broly is a mistake. Bio Broly is that someone pressed too mee levers and Bio Broly is good. They didn't mean to do that. Demon King Piccolo and Kid Goku need to have LRs. I expect a free-to-play unit for the anniversary, but making one of them a free-to-play TUR is bullshit. The only thing that would have been worse is a free-to-play LR, because that takes even more from a potential LR you can summon for. This is true. This is true. My original post again was that they should not... You should hope that your character is never a free-to-play LR, essentially. It was pretty expected, at least for me. Like, what you were going to do with one OG DB unit, have your expectations low instead of coping just to be hating around for something, it was a bit expected. Just wait for a full celebration of only OG DB. I've already kind of covered this point. This point is negative because if they won't do it on the banner that has 6 premium characters, they're probably not going to do it on a full celebration. You're basically saying that instead of just milking money out of people, because they're on the same banners, remember, put this in your mind, it's the same amount of banners. Pulling for them is the same as if they were to do a regular celebration, except it's more money because it's the anniversary. So to then ask them to dedicate a month and like a half, essentially, to one of the other major celebrations is insane. They're not going to do it. And maybe they will, of course. Maybe they will, of course. But they're probably not. As expected, shouldn't have been a surprise. This is true. This is not very surprising. What's going to be surprising is if I'm wrong about Vegito Blue. I think we're getting Vegito Blue. Not too many strong thoughts about it for me. It does kill the theme of the year 10 being a celebration of Dragon Ball. In terms of just theme, I probably won't look back on 6 random units as fondly as I do year 9 as a celebration of Dragon Ball Super. I think this is the ending point I'm going to say, actually. Is that even though it was never going to be like... Even though, like, this is the you fell for it award. If you really believed that they were going to do Dragon Ball Justice in a vacuum, you fell for it. They literally didn't put the motherfucker in Goku's red zone, and it's a red zone about the people Goku fights. You know what I mean? And maybe they add him in a second, like maybe they had the free to play in as like a include in Goku's red zone, and they were just hiding it. That could be true, but yeah, year 10 was a you fell for it. I wasn't super like full send on Dragon Ball. I think it's unfortunate, but and then I'm just leaving this here to say that you know, Halvard was feeling the heat. Dokkan, this is less about Halvard and more just to say that people have been exploding. I thought this would be funny to look through, which is, you know, this Dokkan battle should get serious, be ready to die behind it. I don't know what happened. I'm happy for you. I'm an OG fan of the outrage people have where this is silly. You know, ultimately it is just a gacha game. Ultimately, you know, you can't count on a parasite to make the right decisions, you know. And Dokkan, as fun as it is sometimes, as, you know, friendly as Omatsu seems when he's got that big grin and he's about to tell you about the next Gohan who's going to be top 1 in the game, this is still a gacha. And not only is it a gacha, it's a Dragon Ball gacha. And, you know, Dragon Ball gacha, Dragon Ball IP in general, it goes through a lot, doesn't it? With Shueisha and Toei on its side, it goes through a lot. So that's going to do it for me. What do you think about the free-to-play Demon King Piccolo being the OG Dragon Ball snuff of the century? We all go make it. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to join the club, and peace.